Hello, my name is Jan Hackel. I'm a research fellow at the Royal Botanical Gardens Kew. I'm interested in biogeography and macroevolution, and the question here is, of course, how can macroevolution help us understand Madagascar's grassy biomes? So I'm using molecular phylogenies, that means the phylogenetic relationships between species estimated in general from DNA, to understand macroevolutionary processes like lineage dispersal, the geographic movement of species, speciation, extinction, and the evolution of traits. And this, of course, occurs at a timescale of millions of years. So, for example, we've estimated the arrival of C4 grasses, which are particularly important for open habitats in Madagascar, and estimated that there's been lots of different independent arrivals of these, and many of them happened relatively recently. So this is for C4 grasses, but we know now that these C4 grasses are not all functionally equivalent. So in a work that Cedric Solufun Dranahatra and others, and I've also been involved, have done, they've shown that there are actually different functional assemblages of grass. Some of them are more adapted to grazing, some of them are more adapted to fire. Now, before I talk more about this, the question is just, what can phylogenetics actually tell us about the Holocene? Because of course it's a very recent time period compared to the scale that phylogenetics usually operates at. Well, I think first of all it helps us to understand what functional assemblages of grasses and other species existed at the start of the Holocene. We can understand how dynamic these assemblages have actually been. Have they more or less existed in the same functional structure for millions of years, or have lots of new species arrived very recently, either through dispersal or through speciation? In terms of collaborations, I think there's many things to do. First of all, bridging macro and microevolution, so combining phylogenetics more with population genetics. Understanding the evolution of traits that are relevant to grazing and fire. How did they emerge? Did they emerge in Madagascar? Were they already present in the ancestors or species that arrived in Madagascar? Evolution of root systems and things like erosion resistance in grasses and other species. And it's important to retain here that the evolution of any type of trait can in principle be reconstructed on phylogenetics. So if you have a sort of trait that you're interested in, this is something we could collaborate on. Phylogenetics, of course, has limits, some due to extinction, which is difficult to model, dating uncertainty, so there's a bit of a debate about the grass, and some think that they are older than we actually think they are. Species sampling, if we want to understand the evolution of particular traits of lineages that occur in Madagascar, then we might also have to look at their closest relatives outside of Madagascar to understand that type of trait evolution. So moving forward, I think it's really important, first of all, to better map the grass distribution of Madagascar. That's already been done and we have better data now, but still, if we better mapped their distribution, we could better define the regional grassy biomes and understand their functional differences if we also gather trait data, and then it will be possible to reconstruct the evolutionary origin of these functional assemblages and reconstruct for how long they've been present in that sort of functional form. And then I think it's also really important to compare the histories of different lineages that might be adapted or live in grasslands. For example, tapia, or the genus Eupaca, sedges, ants, to get a more broader picture of the evolution of grasslands in Madagascar, not only from the perspective of grasses. So I'm happy to collaborate on anything that involves phylogenetic trees and biogeography, so please don't hesitate to contact me if you think my types of approaches would be useful to what you are doing. Thank you.